folks, and welcome into another edition of This Week in Pearl. I'm Frank Hutton, your host. Today we've got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to have our very own Honorable Mayor Jake Windham. Jake's going to sit down with us. He's going to talk about some of the projects that are going on in Pearl right now, specifically some that directly impact our citizens, from paving roads and even sidewalks. Also, we talk a little bit about the special election that was just held, where Kyle Foster was able to secure the Ward 6 seat. And then, of course, we're going to be able to continue on that special election that's coming up in 2 weeks on the 27th between Ray Durr and David Stovall. So stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on This Week in Pearl.
Hello, I'm Mayor Windham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl to enjoy a Mississippi Braves baseball game or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Welcome back to This Week in Pearl. Now joining me is my special guest who really needs no introduction, the Honorable Mayor Jake Windham. Morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Frank.
Welcome to This Week in Pearl.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
It's been a few minutes since you've been here with us.
We've been busy, some transitioning within your department, but the great thing is we have good news for our citizens. We continue to have really good news for our people as we move into another year. It's certainly an honor for me to remain in this position currently. Of course, we'll have a municipal election coming up in 2025. But I'm excited about all the major events that are going on and really trying to get things done for our citizens, right?
Well, we've had a lot going on.
Well, that's the focus. You know, that's the focus from an economic development standpoint to infrastructure needs, generational projects throughout the city, and some safety projects that we're really looking forward to, and it's going to be more aesthetically pleasing. It's going to look nice, and so there's a lot of balls in there.
There are a lot.
It takes a lot of work to do that. So I certainly appreciate the staff here at the city. And I always say the patience of our citizens.
Yes, indeed. So let's talk a little bit about that. We're just coming off of a special election where Kyle Foster secured enough votes to become the alderman for Ward 6.
Yep, he will be sworn in soon, and I wish him the best, and look forward to working with him on the board, and making sure that we understand that the needs of District 6 are reaching City Hall. That way we can turn out operations and handle the work orders and the issues that he may have as coming into that position.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And then, of course, we did not have someone secure enough votes to actually win outright for alderman at large, right? So
yeah. So David Stovall and Ray Durr are battling it out for that position within the city. I think that those guys are probably going to be busy up until August 27th.
A couple of weeks of campaigning, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, once we get that handled, I feel like that we could kind of go back to business as usual. We have 5 aldermen in place, which we can obviously still do business, but you want to secure a team, and with Kyle and then coming on, and then whoever is the winner of that other election, the alderman at large election, then we'll have 7 again and fully represented. But during the meantime, if from the transitioning of Kyle coming in, I certainly want to encourage people from District 6 to contact my office, and we'll certainly make sure that we get things done.
Fantastic. So let's move into a few of those projects that you were just talking about. I know one that was really trying to get finished and did get completed was the sidewalk project right there in front of the schools on Marianne.
Yeah, that was one of those projects that I just thought that it would provide a lot of safety for the children that go up and down Marianne. That was a grant that we received. So we provide an application to what we call MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, that houses all the federal funds that comes through Mississippi for transportation and things of that nature. So we were able to put a higher match, 30% match, to be able to secure that grant. So the federal government pays 70% and we pay 30% in order to have that project come about. So now kids can go up and down. They're not on the edge of the streets, and there's a lot of pedestrian walking. It helps parents get kids in, and we thought it would just be a nice touch, and I think that so far it certainly has been.
And that carries all the way from literally from 80 at Marianne in front of the park all the way to the junior high.
Well, you have a sidewalk stretch, and then you have there's a little bit of a section, but yeah, you can get all the way down Marianne, basically on the sidewalk.
And there are a lot of kids that cross right there. You've got the crossing guard there at 80 that are coming from across the street on the north side.
Yeah, if you see in the morning time, a lot of times you'll see at the light people coming from Old Brandon on the other side, on the north side of 80, crossing there, and they're able to hook up on that sidewalk. But again, it was one of those things that we can get kids off the street on a sidewalk and help them get up and down that road much easier in a much safer way.
Very much safer.
Yeah.
Very much safer. Now, part of that project is Riverwind as well. Right?
So there's another aspect. We wanted to focus on the Marianne sidewalk first because of school. We had a very, very small window to get that project done, especially because school started on August 1st this year. So we kind of threw all our energy to try to get it through the federal process through MDOT. MDOT's involved with the process as well. Not just the MPO. MPO provides the funds, but we have certain requirements that are required by MDOT that we have to meet, and that's all in timing. And so we were able to get that completed. So now we're focusing on Riverwind, and Riverwind will begin right there at the Shell on Pearson Road and pick up and be on the north side of Riverwind, going all the way to Childry Road. So again, another issue where we do have a lot of commerce in that area, a lot of people shopping, people going to the movies, eating, things of that nature. It's another way to be able to provide the ability to be safe walking down, not having to walk on the edge of the road and things of that nature. And again, sidewalks look nice, and so it's an aesthetically pleasing project, but more the intention is for safety. It's for people feeling safe walking down the road. And
you see a lot of our visitors to our city that are staying in our hotels on Riverwind.
Yeah.
They're walking to those restaurants.
Yeah,
right there.
they are.
And the convenience stores, and they're just having to walk through the grass or on the street. I think that's going to benefit them a lot.
It will. And just a sense of security. When people have children and they're walking with children, going certain places, as you said, just staying in hotels and going to, let's say, Mugshots or Moss Creek or Logan's or Ichiban or the other restaurants that are over there.
Right.
So it's an easy stretch, and it just made sense for us to do it. And the same thing on that. It was a 70-30 project where we put up 30% of the funding on it, and the feds put up 70%.
What did that project cost overall? Do you remember?
The Riverwind project's around right at 400, and I'm talking about city.
Sure.
And then the Marianne was around 250.
Okay. Well, yeah, obviously the Riverwind project
250,000.
A lot longer.
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
the Marianne.
When you start talking about any type of infrastructure being put in place, whether it's water, sewer, asphalt, concrete sidewalks, things get expensive very quickly. Yeah. So
right.
you have to budget and make sure you're being a good steward with tax dollars in order to. And that's why, if it was my choice, I wish we could push every project that we wanted today. But again, you got to look at it like this: these tax dollars that come in, we got to make the best use of each and every one of them, and we can't do everything overnight. But I think if we provide a steady product of getting things done, like, and I I don't want to brag, but I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that, we're going to roll up on them. We're still paving this year, and in the last 4 years, we've paved 125 miles. I mean, that's.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Where
mean,
are we paving right now?
So we've been paving all over the city, and every district receives paving. It's not just one area that's receiving. So we've had it on in districts 1 through 6, things getting paved. And I think probably a lot of times for taxpayers and myself, you like riding by, seeing fresh pavement, but what it solidifies for us is, number one, that your city financially is doing well enough to be able to push those projects. And then when you can do it in every district and not one road here, one road there, we're making sure that citizens within every district. Now, I know that there's some roads out there that still need paving, but my goal for myself is, when I leave this position, Lord willing, 2029 or in the future, 2033, whatever the Lord has in store, is that. But I prefer within the next term is to be able to tell our citizens that we've paved every road in the city of Pearl.
That's a lot of miles.
It is, and it's just it's a milestone for what we've already established with 125 miles. But I think that the goal here is to, again, continue to be prudent and thoughtful about how we spend our funds, but again, set goals for our citizens to make sure that we're doing these. And I like to call them generational projects, because of the fact that it impacts. And, for us in neighborhoods, when you go in and you pave a road, it makes an impact on the neighborhood. I mean, it makes the neighborhood look nicer. It provides a more curb appeal. And I'll just be honest with you, from residential developers to commercial developers, the people that are in the real estate business, when they see those type of things happening in your city, it indicates that the city's doing well and that you care about your citizens, and they typically like to do business in areas like that.
Right. Well, that tends to make sense.
Yeah.
When they see the city spending money on infrastructure.
I like to say this. I mean, I didn't make this up, but a famous football player and coach, Deion Sanders. Look good, feel good, play good.
Right.
I mean that's the thing. I think that's true, and
I agree.
You provide a perception for other people to come into the city.
Well, the paving project is big, and that's been going on every year of your administration, literally since you got here. That has not just been because it's an election year.
Yeah.
That goes on every year.
Absolutely. Then that's not. Here's what I really think, in a position is. Results matter, and I don't seek not being liked, but I'm saying for the folks out there that don't know me or have not been around me, my mindset is just to take care of business, and the results matter. Not get to a popularity game, but just take care of business. And I think if you do that, and that's at the forefront within the position, then I think that you're successful. Now it takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and you're working 7 days a week. This job is like that. But that's what I signed up for, and I enjoy it. But results matter, and I think that we've been able to provide those for our citizens.
Well, I think as people look around, we were just talking about the sidewalk project, and then we're also talking about the paving project. Now let's talk about the Grandview sewer rehab project. I mean, we're talking about we're singling out several little projects here, but every department in the city is busy.
Yes.
And everybody has has projects going on, whether the citizens may see it or whether they don't. But you're talking about we're just singling out just a few things here, but you have so much in the pipeline. Like the Grandview rehab, this is a huge, for people that don't know about this is a large project.
Yeah, it's a $3.5 million project. Mm-hmm. So the interceptor that goes into the West Rankin Utility Authority's line had been collapsed for a very long time. And what my goal, and then the rest of the cities around us, just to let everybody understand, Brandon, Pearl, Flowood, Richland, Airport, and State Hospital are all in the West Rankin Utility Authority. So the chairman of the authority is Gary Rhodes, and the other mayors, Butch Lee from other cities, Mayor Burns from Richland, We have designated the fact that what our goals are within the West Rankin system is to stop storm water infiltration, and that's what we're doing down here at Grandview. That is another generational project where you're going to stop storm water from seeping into the system and then getting metered at the meter station. How we save money as a city is we stop storm water from getting into our sewer. So we have a larger project that will be going into in the spring. Right now, we're providing an application to DEQ, which will provide the city a revolving loan at a very low interest rate at 0.09% that we draw down funds, and you'll see us going into, and this not convenient, but we'll be going into these neighborhoods and rehabbing the smaller sewer lines there that eventually get to the Grandview interceptor. We also have funding we're waiting on funding from a federal standpoint for the North Bearderman interceptor. So another thing that we're proactively going out there and trying to provide a project that's going to make impacts down the road. Some of the things that we've done too that it costs a little bit more, and I'm thankful for the Board of Aldermen. Some of these manholes that we're putting on the Grandview interceptor, we spent a little more money in order for these manholes to be guaranteed 50 years and not 10.
Right.
Those are the things that make a lot of impact. You can pave all day, but if you are not doing the things as far as you got to go to the bathroom for sewer, and you got to be able to cook with water and do other things, those things you have to concentrate on, and we've been doing that. So from the sewer standpoint, I'm peeled over into the North Bearderman interceptor, and then if I switch over to water, we've been in neighborhoods already rehabbing lines, and we're going to continue that. So one thing that I always say too, the only way you can eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So we're just going to have these revolving loans on the water side and the sewer side going through our city. And we work off the triage system, dying, critical, stable. So we're going to go to the areas where we know that these lines are in bad shape and replace them. And again, the homeowner, it'll be an inconvenience, but at the same time, you're getting new water lines that'll last and make sure that our water system's robust, and that's what we want.
Well, some of these places, Pearl's a fairly young city, but still the housing in some of the older sections of Pearl, they have cast iron lines for sewer.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those have collapsed.
Yeah.
And so that's, especially in this
I
area.
don't know if they've all collapsed.
Well, some of them have.
We'll have some issues.
We'll have some issues.
If they collapse, we know.
We're in trouble.
Maybe
that wasn't the right word, but not collapse, but they will over time.
Yeah, well, that's right.
They will.
So you got to go in and replace them. And then today's technology on infrastructure and piping, the pipes are going to last much longer than what that infrastructure that's in place on. We had some old asbestos lines that we've had to replace that they get real brittle over time, but we're focusing on those things. We're very mindful of it. And also, since we're talking about water and sewer here, we have purchased what they call an eye hydrant. So we can monitor this hydrant from the cloud, and it shows the pressure of what's going on in the line. And how that is helpful is that if we know that if the pressure is low on this hydrant, and we put them strategically throughout the city, that, hey, let's check out this water pressure. We can single out where there might be some issues with a water leak or a problem that we need to address if it's not flowing correctly. Using technology that helps us indicate where a problem might be. And I think that's just smart, forward thinking, trying to put some of those things in place for our city.
Absolutely. And of course, the new meters going into the homes, they're doing the same thing. That are pushing their data up to the cloud.
Yeah, water's a controversial thing, and I'll talk about it just a little bit here. So yeah, those other water meters, and just for people to know, because I've seen, and we're going to have Bruce Stevens, the director of West Rankin Utility Authority, come on and talk a little bit about the history of the authority and the West Rankin plant. He's been there throughout, and he will come in from an engineering standpoint to talk about it. But you got to read the water. in order for the funds that come off the water, we put that back into the ground. It's an investment where it goes back into infrastructure. It's not that there's a fund balance sitting there that we're not doing anything with. We put it right back out there to pay the salaries of the men that go out and stay out to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, that repair water lines or some major issues that we may have, to buy the infrastructure to fund these major water projects on the low interest revolving loan fund from Department of Health. All that goes towards that and treats our sewer.
Right.
So I mean, and I have to remind myself and people, our water bills did increase several years ago when the West Rankin plant went online. But that plant cost $92 million. Our flow is second highest next to Flowwood. Flowwood has more people that pay water than they do citizens. They have some water in their outlying areas. That's why their flow is higher than ours. So when I say that is, before we did that, we were at the mercy of Savannah Street in Jackson. The federal consent decree that came down, based on our flows, West Rankin's flows, our water bills, if we would have remained with Savannah Street, would be twice as much as they are now after we built this plant. So we didn't want that. That was not an option.
No.
And the other thing is, staying with Savannah Street would restrict future economic development. Anything that came in here, they had to get permitted through Savannah Street. Housing, commercial businesses, restaurant, that could be restricted because, and I'm going to talk about some technical language here, is MGDs, the amount of sewer that they could contain. Now we built a plant it's in Richland, that it is a 20 MGD plant. Our flows average 11. And I think, and I'm proud to be a member of the board for the future. Next to it, we purchased more land in order to have an additional area so we could increase the flows in the future as Rankin County continues to grow. You got to have somewhere to treat your sewer. And so number one is that we didn't want to double our water bills with staying with Savannah Street. And number two, we couldn't restrict economic development. These restaurants that we have going, we have 3 restaurants going up on the west end of town. Just had Chipotle, just had Tractor Supply added 7 Brew. I mean, when I start going through these things, that could have been restricted if we would have stayed with Savannah Street, which directly impacts the quality of life of our citizens, right?
Correct.
These houses are going up on Old Brandon Road or on the south part of the city, or the additional ones out at Patrick Farms, restricted. And that's not I don't want Pearl restricted, or I don't want Rankin County restricted.
And you don't want Jackson determining whether or not we can.
No, I don't want them determining anything that we're doing here.
Right, which makes a lot of sense. Fantastic. All right, well, let's pivot just a little bit. Talk about the thoroughfare coming through from Treetops. What's the latest you can tell us on that? Because there are several people who want to know.
Probably, I'm just saying here, and because when you say, West Rankin Parkway is getting built, everybody's like, sure, Mayor. Whatever.
Whatever. Right.
That's a nice joke.
Yeah.
That's really what I get, at times. But I have been determined, not just Jake, but Gary Rhodes and I, along with our delegation in Rankin County, Senator Dean Kirby at the forefront, and I will give a lot of credit to MDOT's Executive Director, Brad White. So, when I came in, we had two claims of litigation on the West Rankin Parkway. And this is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Okay.
So we get those claims settled. The project goes out to bid. It's awarded in 2019. Hemp Hill gets the contract. They start working. MDOT starts seeing some things with the dirt. Dispersing, I believe dissipating, that's the name. And so we have a dirt issue. Well, according to state law, if and then let me back up. Hempfield was going to put in a change order. However, this change order would have been 25% of the original cost estimate. According to state law, you can't do that. You have to rebid the project. So the project has been rebid and has been awarded a contractor currently now. Utah Construction has it. They have a notice to proceed September 9th. And we are the lead LPA on that project from the very beginning, 2001-2. That bill went into effect for funding to start on it in 1992. But kudos to Senator Kirby. He was able to get some additional legislation. Originally, that project in the bond for the funding on it said no federal dollars being involved with it. That was changed this last legislative session, so there is federal dollars that can be allocated towards the funding of the project, which, again, Brad White realized that, and so he brought that to Dean Kirby on behalf of Pearl and Flowood. And then, you know, Gary and I have been with Dean, and we've just been working. You know, we're just trying to be persistent. Usually, you know, I talked about earlier, results matter because basically not because you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just got to be persistent, or maybe the most stubborn person in the room. So, I mean, you just got to keep pushing for your citizens,
Sure,
you know?
do. Right.
I mean, that's what you do. And you get tired, but but hey, guess what? We got a notice to proceed September 9th. We're working together, and we got a good team in Rankin County. We do well over the Capitol because I think that we come over there and they know that it's not that we're one of the largest counties in the state. It's just the fact that they understand that when we come over there that we're going to be working for our citizens, and we have a sense of pride for our people, and we're going to take it serious. And I think that's what we've done. We've been able to do.
And we have a great delegation, of course. You mentioned all of them.
We do. Our senators and our representatives from Rankin County, they listen to us. We have a project meeting with them at Rankin First periodically. We get in a room with every elected official in Rankin County, and a lot of people can't say that within their county.
Right.
And I would venture to say that we're on the same page about a lot of things, but it's the forefront of the county and the cities in the boat, rowing the same way, trying to get things taken care of for their citizens.
And that means a lot.
It does for us, and we're proud of that fact. We do that. We put your pride down, and then you go to work. And I think we go back to a results-oriented formula.
But that's everybody working together, from the mayors
Yeah,
all the way up to the board of supervisors. That's
just
everybody working together.
Just for an example, I wrote a letter of support for the bridge that's going to eventually happen in Brandon, right there at the Pepsi plant. You know, now there's one Friday that we don't get along.
Right. Just one.
Right. I got a lot of friends in Brandon. But I wrote a letter of support just because of the fact that, number one, I see it's a needed project for safety to get over that track. Secondly, it's going to affect our citizens on Greenfield Road because they're going to rework that intersection. So let's get into this together, right? Let's
Right.
Hey, let's line up. I'll help you. And then we've had some of the same things from other cities for us. So it's been good.
Yeah, Butch is a good partner.
Yeah.
And so is Gary.
Yeah, I've known Gary just about my whole life. He graduated from Pearl in 1971 with my father.
Yep.
So, but he's had a tremendous amount of success over there in Flowood. So it's good to be able to have some of that historical knowledge from people that've been doing it a long time.
Right. All right. Well, one more thing I had on my list to kind of talk about that directly impacts our citizens is your Highway 80 project with the new lighting.
Yes, and we are wrapping up design on that. So in the past, we've had complaints about how dark Highway 80 is, like traveling at night. And so we have the black lights, black aesthetic lighting that you see on Pirates Cove, right at Pirates Cove on 80, if you go east to Concourse Drive. And then they go down Airport Road, north of 20, to Highway 80. So what we want to do is take those lights, black poles, LEDs, and come from Pirates Cove all the way down to Pearson Road. And I think that's going to provide a lot of lighting for our people. And again, it's a safety project, but in the meantime, it's also going to be able to provide something that looks nice. Again, something our citizens can be proud of. We continue to move forward, working on those things, and that has been funded by the state of Mississippi.
I was going to say, where is that project?
Through state funding. That's not federal funding, that's state funding.
Okay.
And so we're just going to continue that from Pirates Cove all the way down to Pearson Road.
You know when they plan on starting that?
I'm hoping to get that rolling this fall.
For the people that probably just haven't noticed, you know, that drainage has been completely reworked right there on 80.
Yes,
You know,
it has.
And that project's completed now.
Well, I think they probably noticed. I mean, I don't think people were sinking their vehicles in Rose's parking
in
lot.
Rose's parking lot.
And look, the county, the Board of Supervisors, you know, I'm sitting here talking about the feds, the Board of Supervisors,
Right.
our state delegation. So it's everybody working together. I mean,
Right.
these people have been very good to Pearl. They've been very good to Pearl. And several years ago, I went over there and I said, I realize there's a lot of drainage projects that need to be done in the county. I said, but this one's been happening or occurring since 1973 when Roses was built. And I said, it's just a black eye on the city.
Yeah.
I said, when
You have to
people
build,
talk
when you have
about
to
that, I
build
mean,
flood walls around restaurants
well, yeah.
to keep food. Yes. That's
So
a problem.
I just didn't like the stigma, the reoccurring, and it helps get now outside of getting it out of Rose's parking lot. That's not the only reason.
Right.
You have tributaries, ditches that come through at Patton Plaza, behind Patton Plaza. I mean, west on Patton Plaza and east on Patton Plaza, major coming out of McLaurin Heights subdivision, and it gets to that area, so it helps water get out of neighborhoods much quicker as well. Now, if you have a 100-year event, you're still going to see it back up in that Roses parking lot. But what are reoccurring 10, 15, 20-year events, 25-year events, it's going to drain a lot better. And that was a $4 million project that we partnered with the county on, and I'm very thankful for their help.
Yes, absolutely.
So there you see where we're going here. I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars being put into Pearl right now, and that makes me happy, and I hope it makes our citizens happy. I realize that we're going to miss the mark on some stuff. It's not because of lack of trying.
Sure. But we have a lot of projects, and we've just talked about a few.
Yeah, there's more.
There's a lot
I just
more.
don't want to put people to sleep, but
Right.
there is certainly more.
And I like to remind people, you're only 7 years in, and look how much has been done in those 7 years. I mean, from being financially stable and growing revenue to where state sales tax is increasing every year here.
So yeah, our assessed value from 2018 to now has increased $60 million.
That's $60 million. Our
60
assessed
our assessed value as a city itself has increased $60 million.
in 7 years.
Yep, they can talk to Stacy McNinch. She can provide that information if needed.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's impressive.
That's
for
incredible.
Us.
Our bond ratings have changed. I
Yeah,
mean,
our bond ratings were junk. Now they're an A13, which are investment bonds. And quite frankly, when you have something this junk and then they come into being investment bonds, people that start wanting to invest in your city, they look at that.
right.
It's basically the city's credit score.
Sure.
That's how it's looked upon. If your credit score is good, then,
Yes.
just like banks or lenders or anybody else, they'll do business with you. So you have outside investment coming into our city, and you see it throughout. I mean, you see it on the East End. You see it throughout the city.
Yeah, we have
There's
a Chase Bank branch
Chase Bank branch.
going up right next to Chipotle, right?
That's exactly right. Got Tractor Supply that went in there. You got Dollar Tree that went back in there. That whole retail center, which the guy that I deal with is one of the investors, John Michael Holtman. He's a local guy, lives in Jackson, and he's been instrumental of us all coming together and being able to just have good working relationships. We've tried to streamline things for them through our community development, our building department, to try to help to be more applicable, not to be a roadblock in getting something done, but again, let's be a partner to move things forward. And I try to, not to do anything wrong, but just make sure that we're not, sometimes, I've had situations where people will go to cities and they get pushed back immediately, and I don't want us to have that reputation. I want us to have the reputation of us trying to do the best job we can possibly do when we have commercial or residential come in. And a lot of people don't know this, and I've talked about it before, but all of our inspectors have a construction background, which makes 100% difference when you're out there on a commercial project or a residential project.
Right. Big time difference. But just a $60 million assessed value just in 7 years is incredible.
Yeah.
But that just like I said, you've only been at this 7 years.
Well,
look what's been accomplished in those 7 years.
Yeah, we've accomplished a lot, and I say we, department heads, our aldermen. It's not just
it's everybody.
It's everybody,
right.
And it's one of those things, and I guess in my mind is just adopting a winning attitude. No, we're not going to be stagnant or mediocre. We're going to try to do our very best to give this city the best work product we can.
I know, right? And I like to encourage our citizens to just take a breath sometimes. Look around and just see exactly how much is getting done.
Yeah.
I know people get upset about things. Ditches need to be cut, and but as we continue to grow, we're doing that with a very slim staff. It's not that we've added a lot of fat.
Yeah, we haven't.
We keep a very slim machine here.
Well, we try to make a more effective force, right? Mm-hmm. We don't want people sitting around on payroll not doing anything. We got some great guys in every department. And when we talk about ditches, so I'm going to say this, and this is not an excuse by any means. We have been slower this year getting to ditches, and that's for one reason and one reason only, is because we had to self-perform all that cleanup within the city on all these trees, going through neighborhoods, clearing things out, and we were taking water guys and street guys with their equipment. There was no federal declaration that would provide us any type of assistance, and we had, it was like right at 45 trees on houses, and then trees everywhere. We had Bright Park that was, we had 20 trees down in Bright Park.
Yes.
And then we're about to get that back open, but we're cutting the dead trees down for safety reasons, and the dead trees at Jenkins. So you think about us going through there and most of our guys picked up all of this stuff throughout the city. Right. They work 6 days a week. So something's going to suffer during that time. And so and I've had some complaints about the parks not being open, but here's the deal. When you have to prioritize where you're going to clean up first, it's certainly the neighborhoods where your citizens live, not an auxiliary exercise that you do on the side. And that's not the focus. I'm focusing on cleaning up their neighborhood so they don't have to come home from work and see all these limbs all over the place. And that's our thought process behind it. And since we already had Bright shut down for that, we said, well, let's go ahead and knock out these dead trees too. Because our guys don't have the expertise. For the folks out there that know how to cut trees, they know that dead trees can be very, very dangerous.
They can. Well, Mayor, I want to tell you, it's great to have you. We need to have you here more often, so that we can help our citizens understand exactly what's going on. This is a great resource to actually hear from you. Gives everybody an opportunity to know what you're doing in the city.
Well, I'm glad, and I'll start providing. We try to provide progress reports.
Been a busy year though. It's been a lot going on.
Yeah, we try to, and we try to do it through social media and also, also through different avenues, through the newspaper. We try to make sure that we're putting out the correct information and letting our folks know that other projects and what level of projects. Now today, we'll do something on some of these projects that we discussed today, just to let people know, hey, this is coming about. And going back to the major projects, you say that, we have 2 projects done two major MDOT projects completed. The East Metro,
Yeah.
the segment coming through Pearl. And then also, which has been talked about a lot, but that bridge on South Pearson, that's a $16 million project.
That was another project that people said it was never going to get done.
That-
And look
that-
at it now. It's
That's
done.
never going to happen.
It's done.
But that same project, in a couple of years, the West Rankin Parkway, it will be completed, and I'm real excited about how much property it's going to open up. All that's commercial. Flowwood and Pearls work together to zone that the same way, and so that way we would love to have it deemed as a industrial site, certified industrial site. So maybe advanced manufacturing or something that can provide jobs. What we really are concentrating on is putting something there that could raise the median household income of our citizens, which just go with me for just a second, Frank. So when you raise the median household income of your city, what that does is, number one, your citizens have a better quality of life because they have more resources, more disposable income that they can do things with. Now, what that does for restaurants is they see the median household income come up and they say, oh, these people have the disposable income to be able to come here more. So it helps economic development too. So all these things play together, and you start by doing your workforce keys, putting the people into the plants. So education, going into a plant, let's say hypothetically that came in place, raise somebody's salary from $12 an hour to $24 an hour. Life-changing experience, right?
Right.
So those are the type of things we're thinking big picture when we're talking about this type of stuff.
Right.
It's not just, oh, well, and ho-hum. I mean, there's a lot of planning that's involved and a lot of thought that goes into as we zone that correctly. And I think that it can be something that's very impactful for not just Pearl and Flowwood, but for Rankin County and the metro area as it gets built.
Well, citizens just don't realize how much actually goes into the thought process around just one project. Just like that one how it affects so much more than just a road being built.
Yeah, it's going to impact lives.
It impacts lives.
So and look, this is just pie in the sky, but here we go. We have where this road turns, and there's a turn in the road right before it turns into Flowwood. So for me, I'm not saying this is happening right now, but for me, if I'm thinking future-wise, to put traffic down on 80 for more commerce in that particular area, coming through Pearl Plaza, right there by Church's Chicken, tying into the West
straight
Rankin
into-
Parkway
sure.
right there. People can come right down into downtown Pearl, easy, and it's another bypass. But again, it'll spur growth
Sure.
and commercial growth in the area.
And our little industrial park right there.
That's exactly right. And I'm sitting here talking, and I know you got to wrap up, and I got some meetings to go to.
No, not you, right? No.
Yeah, but it's
that would
it's
be-
exciting,
that
man.
would
It's
be
exciting to watch all this. God's been really good to us.
Hasn't he?
So it's not. I mean, I want to give credit where credit's due. Man can do only so much, but he can't do anything without God. So God's been really good to the city of Pearl.
Well, I have always maintained that from day one, that God has his hand on this city. And these are the things he wants, and he wants it done this way, especially what we do here. And I just feel fortunate enough that he's used me to do it.
Yeah.
For what we build here, like what this is.
We didn't even start talking about all your projects, Frank. You
No,
got
we
some
don't about any of mine.
projects too. But I'm just, but I
Right,
mean,
right. But people don't usually see my project.
I know, but it directly affects the citizens though too, in a different way. So
But yeah, God definitely has his hand on our city. And I like to know, and citizens don't know this, but we do things for other cities too that people don't see, and we don't need them to see. That's not important. But we help out other cities, like you mentioned, helping out Butch and Brandon, and there's other cities that we help out with other stuff.
we'll provide support.
provide
We'll
support.
have a small town that needs a vehicle.
Right.
And then, it's a vehicle that we deadline, we're not using anymore, but it still runs. But they don't have anything
Right.
for like a patrol car or a truck for Parks and Rec. We'll surplus the vehicle and give it to them, and you know what? It'll make a big impact for them.
It would. It helps them.
So we've done that on several occasions throughout the years, trying to help other cities. We've done it recently with the town of Delo. They don't have many folks down there, and John Henry Berry's a good mayor down there, and he was like, look, we really need some help. We don't have funding. If you have some vehicles that come available, that he said, if they just barely run, we'll we're just trying to be good stewards.
Sure.
And trying to help other
And
people.
I think God expects us to do that.
I certainly think
Because
so.
He definitely has blessed us.
That's it.
Anyway, Jake, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you,
Sitting
Frank.
down with us today. We definitely appreciate it.
Yep. You have a great day.
Thank you. We're going to be back in just a second, so stay tuned. Just a minute.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl to enjoy a Mississippi Braves baseball game or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Welcome back into This Week in Pearl. Again, I'm your host, Frank Cutton. I want to thank Mayor Jake Wyndham for taking the opportunity to sit down with us today. So very informative of all the things that are going on, especially with the sewer projects, the water projects, the economic development, and all the paving that's going on in the city. And what really just made a huge impact on me is the amount of money that the valuation of the city of Pearl has had increase in 7 years. I mean, $60 million. That's incredible. It's fantastic. But what we want to do now is highlight a few things that are going on, just to keep everybody involved. Literally coming up August 17th. It's coming up this Saturday in the Muse Center is a girls' night out sponsored by the Pearl Chamber of Commerce. They've got a bunch of boutiques that are members of the chamber that are basically have a fashion show. And if you want to come out to that, that's happening starting at 4 p.m. there at the Muse Center where the shopping actually starts. And then the fashion show begins at 6 p.m. So it's called Girls Night Out this Saturday, August the 17th. Also coming up is Pirate Fest on the 24th, which is the following weekend. Pirate Fest is anybody that's attended Pearl High School. It's on big, gigantic Pearl High School reunion, and it's a party. That's why they call it Pirate Fest. You want to definitely come out and get and be involved in that. Entertainment this year is by Angela Pittman and the Unfinished Business, who is voted the 2023 Rankin County's Best Entertainer. So it's just $35. Grab your tickets at piratefest24.simpletix.com. That's piratefest24.simpletix.com. That way you can come out and enjoy the big, gigantic Pearl family reunion from Pearl High School if you graduated from there. Also, absentee voting has already started this week. So if you're not going to be able to vote in the election coming up, the special election on the 27th, you can come by the clerk's office there at City Hall and you can cast your vote. Remember, you are voting for Alderman at Large. It's a runoff between David Stovall and Ray Durr, which you can visit inside the clerk's office from 8 until 5, Monday through Friday. And I think there's a couple of Saturdays, August 17th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., as well as August 24th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So make sure you come out and vote for Ray Durr or David Stovall, either one, both of those in a runoff special election on that Tuesday. Hey folks, I've enjoyed being with you today. Thank you for spending just a few minutes with us here at This Week in Pearl. Till next time, I'm Frank Hutton. Y'all have a good day.